Since the beginning of the season, and especially the release of Trials of Osiris, hard light has been a very commonly used weapon, and I think it's fair to say that most would go as far as saying that it is a meta weapon or the meta at the moment. There are some that would argue though that this weapon needs a nerf and it's gotten too much benefit from both the buff to 600 RPM auto rifles and the recent buffs that would remove its screen shake, its catalyst, and many other things that have pretty much taken away all the downsides of the weapon and given it a ton of lethality. Today we'll be attempting to take a very deep look and critical look at hard light to really see if it truly is a problem in the Crucible right now. I'll be taking a look at the different features and facets of the weapon that people would regard as some of its most powerful, annoying, or problematic things. To start, I wanted to talk about the quote-unquote unlimited range of hard light, this functionality, and a lot of people seem to cite this as one of its best traits, and I do think it's a very powerful trait. Of course, not any other weapon in the game has no damage drop-off whatsoever, but I need to explain that damage drop-off is not the only part of range. There's actually a ton of things that make up a weapon's range performance, and damage drop-off is just one tiny part of that. I should mention that I recommend watching my previous video on how accuracy, aim assist, and range work in Destiny 2, as I'm going to be mentioning a lot of things from that video. Basically, weapons have two different cones, an accuracy cone and aim assist cone that starts from the end of the barrel on the weapon and go outwards and widen over distances, and they have a point where that cone ends. These cones dictate the accuracy of the weapon and the likeliness of the bullet to go completely straight, or what's called an error angle, where the weapon will be slightly offset, and that'll have a more drastic effect over the course of longer ranges. With that, as I mentioned, the aim assist cone does have a cutoff point at a certain range, and that is basically where you're going to stop getting on controller reticle stickiness or mouse and keyboard bullet magnetism. The range stat on the weapon is responsible for how tight the accuracy cone is, aka how accurate the weapon can be over range, the length of that cone as well, where that cutoff point is, as well the cutoff point of your aim assist cone. So I went back to the mission Last Rites in Destiny 1 with the hard light, and this is a mission where you're third person but can still use all the functions of your weapon, and this gives us a lot of information. We can see while aiming down sights against an enemy, the reticle is red at certain distances, and at other distances it is no longer red. This functionality is something that started in Halo for Bungie, and essentially what it shows you is the length of your aim assist cone. When the reticle is red, it means you are within range of your aim assist cone, and of course as a result your shots will have the opportunity to get aim assisted or curved towards the target. Outside of this, it means you will probably get very low, if any at all, reticle stickiness or friction on controller, and no bullet magnetism. So as you can probably tell with this whole explanation, the damage drop-off is a simple, small part of the entire puzzle of what makes up a weapon's range performance. So let's take this into context here with hard light. Hard light has a range stat of 46, which is relatively subpar in my opinion compared to a lot of other 600 RPM autos. So yes, it is very powerful that it can get no damage drop off, and that's one dimension of range it does not have to worry about. That's incredibly strong, but as far as its accuracy and consistency to land shots at range, it's not going to be the most effective. From what I can tell in Destiny 2, hard light has an aim assist cone range of about 30 meters, and that seems decently consistent with its effectiveness in Destiny 1 with the red reticle, even though the range stat is slightly different. So although you have this hypothetical unlimited range, you are still bound to 30 meters or so for your real true consistency on the weapon, and outside of that you're probably going to get outperformed by other weapons that are simply more consistent in that range. Now of course hard light is going to have a better fighting chance than most other weapons because of its damage drop off, but again because of the consistency it's still not going to match the power of some other weapons. Another thing that plays against the consistency of hard light at range is the fact that auto rifles typically have high accuracy when initially firing, so good chance of your bullet going straight and being aim assisted, and no error angle on that, which is a good thing for range, but that's only when you're initially firing. After firing a few shots or continuously, they tend to have very poor accuracy, and their range performance really gets hurt over that distance, especially if they have a lower range stat like hard light for their accuracy cone, because it's not going to be quite as tight. So our quote-unquote unlimited range, is it problematic? I'm going to give it a no on this and say it's more just very powerful and worthy of being exotic. Flinch is another thing that's talked about with hard light, and I just wanted to debunk this very quickly. I looked at hard light hitting me to the head numerous times and compared it side by side with a normal auto rifle, the Gnawing Hunger, without high caliber rounds, and honestly I couldn't see much of a difference. Of course, auto rifles are going to give more persistent flinch, and of course that tends to increase, it looks like, a little bit over time. Keep in mind these are headshots, so this is a best case scenario. But again, auto rifles in general, unlike hand cannons, they don't generate as much significant flinch per shot because flinch scales to damage, but because the rate of fire, it's more persistent flinch, so it's going to be more continuous persistent flinch at a lower rate. Let's talk now about the ricochet bullets on hard light. Now this is probably one of the most annoying things about the weapon. Of course, you can just spam corridors and these bullets will just ricochet all over the place off of surfaces, and more than anything, of course, they do double damage when you are hit by them. Now, is this overpowered? Is this problematic? I'm gonna say no, because I think this is just really annoying more than anything. Probably somewhat unenjoyable to play against when someone's just sitting and spraying in corridors and you just see bullets going everywhere. I'm gonna agree that it's not the most enjoyable thing to go up against, and it kind of just makes things, again, it's annoying. It's really annoying, but I'm not gonna say that it's overpowered. These ricochet bullets are not aim assisted in any way, so again, they're not gonna be curving towards you, so they're really just kind of flying all over the place. And because of this, I think that this is really just something incredibly niche. I don't think that this is actually useful in many ways. I just can't help but think this is a gimmick and so niche and just meant to be annoying more than it is truly functional. I've played now 24 flawless cards, not counting my failed attempts on trials, and I think I've been killed by hard light ricochet 4 times. So of course you are going to get those kills. I'm not going to say you're not going to get them, but I really cannot help but believe that this is just a gimmick and is super niche, and again, is just really annoying. Now, I've been asking a lot of people, a lot of streamers, a lot of other personalities, what truly is so problematic about hard light. I just simply was not getting it. A lot of the features otherwise that I've talked about, I truly don't believe they're actually problematic as much as they are just annoying and just worthy of an exotic perk. But one streamer, you might know him, named Wish You Luck, actually told me that the weapon is just too easy to aim with, especially on controller. Now, I'm of the opinion that it's just easy to aim with on both controller and mouse and keyboard, but I do believe controllers have a little bit of an edge and ease of use with auto rifles because of reticle friction, which helps your tracking. This suggestion and argument made me want to look deeper into hard light and really see if this was a problem, which I do think I agree that it's a bit too easy to aim with hard light no matter the input method, and I'm going to explain why. Hard light has a few key stats that make it feel quite easy to aim with. Of course, its range might be lower, so the accuracy might be lower, but its stability is 100 with the catalyst. Its aim assist, so its aim assist cone stat, is 100, and its recoil direction is also perfectly vertical at 100. This is insane and incredibly consistent to the point that I'd argue it's easy to shoot with. These 3 stats are very influential on each other and are very responsible for how the weapon feels and how easy it is to shoot with. First and foremost, the stability stat is responsible for not only the recoil of the weapon, the bounce or the shake of the weapon when you're firing it, but maybe more importantly, it's responsible for how much your aim assist cone degrades or shrinks as you are firing when you're firing continuously. So I'm going to try and be very quick with this, but we're going to have to talk about cones again. Essentially, when you start firing a weapon, you have something called initial accuracy, where your aim assist cone is very wide and your accuracy cone is very tight. So your bullets have the best chance, of course, within that accuracy cone, because that's where they're going to go, to get the chance of being aim assisted, which is by your aim assist cone, which is very wide. Now, as you're firing continuously at a target, your aim assist cone shrinks, it tightens, and as that's happening, your accuracy cone, where your bullets can go, widens up. So that means your bullets now have less of a chance of getting aim assisted and more of a chance to go kind of all over the place. Stability both slows down the aim assist cone from shrinking, keeps it more persistent, and has it recover faster when you stop firing. So I took hard light into our D1 mission where we're third person and decided to shoot it. And just for a background of knowledge, the lines on the crosshair are representative of the accuracy cone or accuracy of the weapon, which while ADS with an assault rifle tends to stay pretty tight, and the circular part is representative of the width of our aim assist cone, which degrades of course over time when we're firing. So I decided to fire hardlight with and without max stability, and with max stability you could see that the aim assist cone actually didn't disappear at all when firing and stayed more persistent over the course of the entire mag. Of course, again, not to be repetitive, but with our aim assist cone more persistent, as we could see with max stability, this means our shots have a higher chance of being aim assisted and to curve towards the target. So this is the most important impact in my opinion of having max stability. Of course, our 100 aim assist stat on hardlight works directly with its 100 stability, as the stability is going to keep that aim assist cone very persistent, and the aim assist cone, which is dictated by the aim assist stat, is as large or wide as it can be because it's at 100 on hardlight. And yes, I'm 99% certain that the aim assist stat is not responsible for how sticky your reticle is or how much friction you get on controller, but instead more so just affecting the width of the aim assist cone. But I'm not a developer, so until we get a developer confirmation, we cannot say 100% for sure that's the case, I guess. The last stat that makes this weapon incredibly easy to shoot is really the icing on the cake, of course, and that's the recoil direction being at 100. This means recoil on this weapon is pretty much going to be entirely vertical. The screen shake you experience when firing the weapon is going to be very predictable, pretty much all vertical, which makes it very easy to handle and control. And although something like Suros Regime has a 100 recoil direction stat as well, because it doesn't have 100 stability, it still takes a little bit more to control that recoil effectively than it would on hardlight. So I guess that was a lot of jargon and maybe even an unnecessary level of in-depth breakdown on hardlight to tell you and prove that yes, it is easy to shoot with. I do gotta say though that I think the stats on this weapon were created and given to it with the screen shake that it previously had in mind. It was given all the stability, aim assist, and recoil direction because it had a ton of screen shake that was there to prevent the unlimited range from being too problematic, and you were given these stats so that you could still use the weapon decently, consistently, I want to say, despite having so much screen shake. Now that that screen shake is pretty much gone and this weapon's pretty much like a normal auto rifle, it is just insanely easy to shoot with because it has stats that were made to make it easier to shoot with when it had more turbulence, I guess you want to say, for the recoil. So is hardlight truly an issue or a problem? I'm gonna say no. I think it's at best very powerful. It's a top tier auto rifle and very annoying maybe because of its ricochet functionality. Now, that being said, even though I don't think it's a problem, I do think something needs to give on this weapon. Since the screen shake was taken away, it pretty much amplifies the potency of all of its other stats and makes it, like I said many times, very easy to shoot with. And I think as a result, something needs to go in exchange for that ability, that insane consistency. And I think personally it's at the very least the double damage on ricochet. I don't know if people absolutely associate the ricochet ability of this weapon to its identity as an exotic, but I would say that even the ricochet should maybe go in favor of just being like normal ricochet rounds found on other weapons. I'm not sure, but I think one of those things need to go because it kind of just has a bit too much going for it at this point. Is it a true problem? No, it's just a powerful auto rifle that has the chance to be annoying though. And a whole other can of worms that I'm not going to open right now, but I will mention is the fact that auto rifles do inherently get shut down by the advantages and strengths of hand cannons, which will always keep them at bay in my opinion, unless hand cannons were just somehow completely destroyed, which I don't see that happening. But the way that hand cannons go up against autos and the inherent benefits of a hand cannon over an auto is definitely a topic for another video, as I could go on for another 10 to 15 minutes on that alone. Those are my thoughts on hardlight, and that is my breakdown. This has been a longer video, so I'm not going to keep you any longer. Thank you for watching so much. If you want to see more content like this, you can check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Drewskys. I've been streaming a ton of trials recently, so I hope to see you there. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.